Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So yesterday we got Dracula's deep dive, and I actually like what I saw. The initial insight that we gained from the stream actually got me a bit skeptical about Dracula because of the mention of the slowdown combos. And I think this is one of those cases where, a bit of information does the champion injustice, and then if you do kind of comprehend it better, you kind of realize it might not be that big of a deal or a deal breaker because you don't have to slow your combos down. But the reason why I immediately kind of checked out and immediately says like, no, I don't think I will like Dracula, is that any champion that requires you to slow your combos down as part of their playstyle invites a ton of errors that are unnecessary in it. And effectively with the current AI and AI recovery and everything else, you're just kind of inviting yourself to get parried or smacked in the face. So whilst it could technically be considered as an expression of a higher skill, it also, if it would be a mandatory thing to do, would make it like implausible for most of the players to actually use and achieve. Luckily, you don't actually have to do that. And then the rest of the abilities, I kind of liked. So let's go over like a bit of his rotation. Effectively, you do start the fight with insanely long degen, and you want to be intercepting or using your special attacks or like heavying to convert that degen into a dire degen and make it do as much damage as possible. And the coolest kind of approach to this is obviously, as long as you keep attacking, the degen stays dire. So you want to set yourself up where you are at like 2.5 bars of power, drop a special, go into the relic or and land a combo and then the other special, and kind of like keep the degen dire for like a long sequence whilst dealing a lot of damage. And other than that, he's like a very, very simple, straightforward character. He has Nullify, he does have Slow, for a very long slow, a regen, access to, obviously, degen, and some passive abilities as well if you do happen to nullify buffs. I like him. He is basically the type of champion I would like to use from the initial impressions. And I'm kind of hopeful about him. I think he's quite good. As you can see here, there's access to fear. He should be able to tackle just about any cosmic matchups. So let's break down his abilities again fully. Not gonna touch it. Actually, not entirely sure where his prestige lands, but I don't think that is super high. So let's just quickly go and double check the 7-star rank 4, 33,400. Let's go straight up to the prestige king of High Evolutionary. Where is that little purple man? And High Evolutionary 7-star rank 6, 200, 47-star rank 4 is 34,200. So his prestige isn't going to be crazy. Not bad, but it's fine. His champion attributes, which again, a very painful topic right now. Survivability 3.5, which is fair enough. He does have regen to his kit that you can again make more potent. Then we have damage at 4. Hopefully is good enough, but again, a reminder, Kate Bishop has damage at 2, Destroyer has damage at 4, so we don't know. If the damage is in fact good, I think he will be a great offensive Mystic Champion. That is a problem in itself that I'm going to try and explain at the end of the video, but I do like that. Ease of use 2, I don't think it's that bad, to be honest. Utility 4, defender strength 2, so he's not meant to be a defender, nor I think he will, which is like one of the issues that kind of devalues him in my opinion, just because he's going to be largely a defensive potato. Yes, he will go invisible if you parry him, but you can just drop a light hit and then, parry again and attack normally. It is much weaker type of mechanic than somebody like Shuri, who you can't parry at all, for instance. And other than that, there's nothing really to his abilities in defensive sense, because he doesn't have the degen on defense. So I don't think he's going to be a good defender at all. I think initially when he's going to come out, he's going to obviously catch some people, but for the most part, I don't think he's going to be rough to deal with. So he's going to be yet another like offensively themed Mystic Champion. So basic abilities: Degeneration, Invisibility, Nullify, Slow, and Fear. Decent. Attacker summary: at the start of each fight, Dracula inflicts Degeneration, dealing consistent damage. Charge a heavy attack to make the Degeneration dire, cause it to deal damage faster. Interrupt the opponent's attacks with a light attack to make Degeneration dire, as long as Dracula keeps attacking. Hit the opponent's block to turn invisible. Special 1 inflicts slow, Special 2 inflicts fear. Effectively, level 2 is what you want to use for maximum damage. Level 1 is that you can drop if you need that slow utility and then go for level 2 because that slows like 40 seconds. Defender summary, if buff an attacker is nullified, you get bled, but if you don't get hit by the specials, you're not going to get nullification. But if you want to be super safe, use a bleed immune, but in general, any champion can be used to fight against him. Dracula is blocked, he turns invisible. You can put this on cooldown for 12 seconds if you actually, miss a hit. And then fear and slow. So, build is Dracula's vampiric blood makes him immune to heal block. I do like that. I think heal block immunity is kind of underrated because Kabam recently likes to spam it a fair amount. While fighting silver champions, he suffers -25% regeneration rate. Fine. Driven by bloodthirst, Dracula only benefits from half the potency of the Mystic Dispersion. I hate when they do that, but fine. I don't like when Mystic Dispersion by default is nerfed, and again, but however, after the buff when the opponent's nullified, he inflicts like a small bleed for 3 seconds, and I'm thinking that's like, yeah, fine, but you could make that 2 separate abilities, as in like, one does not need to be tied to another. It's just, I don't like when Mystic Dispersion gets, butchered and as a part of the champion's kit. He could just inflict the bleed when he nullifies a buff, for instance, but fine. This kind of okay. Dread of the Night. Dracula strikes terror into the very souls of the mortals as an attacker at the start of each fight. Inflict the Degeneration passive, dealing a ton of direct damage over 666 seconds. Now here, a bit of commentary. This has upset some people, especially if you're a bit more religious. A reference to the Antichrist. Like, it doesn't bother me that much. I can't say that I really like when it's fine, whatever. It's like somebody can just help themselves, I suppose. This unaffected by ability accuracy, scales with base attack only. Charging heavy or interrupting any attack with a light attack makes this Degeneration dire, increasing its tick rate by 666 again. The Degeneration remains dire as long as Dracula continues attacking while a striker or a striker opening are active. Also includes special attacks. So overall, the base idea is you do want to land in a light intercept, for example, and then, drop a combo, and then ideally light intercept again. So you will be rewarded for more damage if you do light intercepts. That is not like the core must-have, but that will give you more damage. But the most important thing is you either use the invisibility or heavy charge mechanic before you activate the special attack, because that will further empower the amount of degeneration that you are going to receive during the specials. So, I don't mind mechanic like that. Obviously, the AI can make your life absolutely horrible here, but at the same time, he does have some regen on specials to, offset any damage that he does take in a fight, and that regen can be fairly potent if you do everything correctly. So, I think it's fine. Form of Mist Invisibility. Hitting the opponent's block with a basic attack grants Dracula an invisibility buff for 2 seconds. This will not re-trigger while active. If this invisibility causes an attack to miss, or if Dracula is struck while it is active, it goes on cooldown for 12 seconds when it ends. So this is an alternate way for you to gain an opening in any fight, so that is useful offensively as well. Obviously, you can just dash at the opponent. If you hit their block, you gain this invisibility, and then opponent can miss you, and then you can interrupt their attack with a light attack, and then you can go into combo, into special, and do your damage. So you can actually kind of like convert the degen to be a dire degen very safely on a fairly regular basis. But again, the 12-second cooldown means you can't spam only this one move and like make it happen. This is the safest way to get light interrupts, exactly. Vampiric Drain special attacks. During his special attacks 1 and 2, Dracula gains a regeneration passive, healing 0.25% of his max health per second. The stick rate as regeneration is increased by half of the dire degeneration's increased stick rate. So during the specials, you'll be, regening quite a bit if you do have the dire degen. Each sword hit nullifies a buff on the opponent. If a fury buff is nullified, Dracula seals it to gain a permanent fury of twice the potency until the end of the special attack, max potency 5k. So if you go up against an opponent with furies in their kit, you will be dealing significantly more damage, but that is with a condition that that champion continuously gains those fury buffs. because if you nullify Fury from, I don't know, somebody like Serpent, you know, he doesn't get it back, and then last Furies are like passive. So for instance, in Serpent fight, this will not help too much. In any matchup where opponent has, you know, consistent stream of incoming Fury buffs, somehow this can be helpful. Albeit outside of Thanos, I don't think there are too many relevant matchups that this applies to. I mean, Dark Phoenix gains a Fury on her level 2s, but single one, so I don't know. Still, like, neat extra damage against champs that have Fury, typically are the Cosmic Champions. Special Attack 1, on activation, inflict a slow passive for 40 seconds, so it's a very long, so you can easily drop level 1 and then go for your level 2s. Special Attack 2, Dark Cloud, during the attack, Dracula's degen becomes dire, increasing its tick rate by 666. If this was already dire, its tick rate instead is increased by 1200%, so this is where the big damage comes from, because you're going to be doing a ton of degen, especially if you already had a dire degen. Each bat hit inflicts a fear passive for 60 seconds. This can be inflicted through block. I think that's fine. Again, I don't think that's too great of a defensive burden, because what any champion can, you know, deal with fear or play around it. And yeah, this has its offensive use too. Special Attack 3 is basically a big reset button. It reinflicts Dracula's degen, but you know, that's not going to be necessary in like 99.9% of the fights. Inflict a Power Steal passive, start stealing bar power. This kind of like gets you back into the fight, kind of powered up to get to your next specials quicker. And at the end of this attack, inflict a bleed, and if opponent's below 30%, then it's going to be even more potent bleed, so it's, you know, kind of neat finisher, I suppose. But in general, you never really want this special attack. In realistic fight, you will always want to use level 2 for max damage. Level 1 also can be used to kind of like either finish off the fights or access that slow that you need. And yeah. Signature ability, the Prince of Darkness. As an attacker, when the opponent's unblockable, unstoppable, or evade effects fail to reduce the ability accuracy, inflict a bleed passive for 3 seconds. Dracula gains 2.5k attack rating for each armor break debuff he is suffering from, up to 5. So, another one of those things where I think Awakening is absolutely not necessary. I think getting extra attack rating obviously is nice, but there aren't that many situations where you get armor broken. There are not too many opponents that make that happen. And most importantly, it doesn't affect your degen, which is a very significant part of your damage output. Because overall, we're going to take a look at it again. Dracula's damage, it's mainly tied to the degen, right? We can look at the deep dive again. So the hits from 53k champion, you know, with class advantage, they're not doing much damage in themselves. Like 11k crit here, or like 7k light crit was there. It's the degen. So that is like one of the two critiques I have. Like, he has this mechanic that increases his attack based on armor breaks that can let him steal opponents' furies, but all of that's kind of like wildly inconsistent and effectively also not a part of his core damage loop. Now, your bleeds can benefit from the increased attack rating, but overall, it kind of, the kit seems a bit disjointed to me, where we have all of these attack modifications that absolutely have no impact on your core damage mechanic. It kind of seems counterintuitive to me. So, with an extension of that, I think in a vast majority of the fights, that awakened ability does not really matter or barely comes into play to begin with. You know, it's a bit more damage, sure. It's not hindering you, it's not hurting you, but again, I don't think it's something you would desperately miss if it wasn't there. Overall, though, I like him. We can go quickly with his synergies, I suppose, but again, synergies don't really do too much. Dracula, start of each fight, rapidly gain 25% of bar power for each unique champion synergy present. That's speeding him up. Attack with this is kind of neat. Any champion here can get a bleed debuff, but most of them already have it. And this big nerd with Moon Knight, Dracula personal bleeds gain 35% increased potency under the light of the full moon. Increased 50%. Moon Knight, nobody cares or uses Moon Knight. Children of the Night, Werewolf by Night. Gaining a personal invisibility grants the opponent non-stacking 15% fury buff. This is kind of cool. I like this synergy. It's a shame that we don't use synergies. And this is again one of those things where Werewolf by Night's damage not really affected much by modified attack either, so like the biggest deal for him. First Night's unique. This is interesting, but basic. What arc I'm recommending for him? Recovery, stat focus. That makes sense. You do regen fairly frequently. Offensive, stat focus. Critical rating. I still would probably pick. Okay, fine. Defensive, stat focus. Physical resistance. Recommended Balgast Relic is a Ghost Rider because where he's boosting Dracula's Degeneration and bleeds. Yeah, fair enough. So you do want Ghost Rider on him. So overall, the biggest issues with the champion, I think, that he's yet another Mystic offensive champion, and that's kind of like solely offensive. And I argued about 6 or 7 of the 10 best Mystic champions are like fairly big potatoes on defense, and that's not the greatest thing. For instance, Juggernaut has like very little to none defensive value, and Shatra is like great, extremely versatile attacker with like basically 0 defensive value. And then, you know, the exception of that is Nico, but Tigra has basically 0 defensive value, and so on and so forth. Mystic class right now has a lot of very, very good offensive champions, very few good defenders, and that is where they are kind of struggling. So I don't think this is like the best time for Dracula to land in the context because of that. Like we have, again, Kushala, Shatra, Tigra, I don't know, Hood. All of those are some of the best Mystic champions in the game, and all of them are offensive exclusives, basically, with no defensive value. So, if somebody's going to rank up that Dracula, outside of it being new and shiny, you kind of have to have a really good argument why you would. And obviously, we do need to still see exactly how well he handles all the matchups. The one thing that I do like about Dracula is I think he has a very good potential to cross-class. I think, you know, Dracula can be useful for a plethora of different fights, even, you know, against tech class, for instance. Yeah, you're not going to get the bleeds there, but that degen, you know, basically nobody's safe from that degen. Additionally, for instance, against Zola, you can use that invisibility to get, you know, your heavy opening in, even if you can't heavy counter him directly. I think, you know, a bunch of tech champs have buffs to nullify. That's still, you know, speeding up the fight for you a little bit. I think there's absolutely nothing stopping you from, you know, dealing with Onslaught or Stingray. So I do think that he looks quite versatile. He looks like he could take a ton of matchups, but we need to take a look at Cosmic class at large. It's quite clear he is going to do Serpent quite well, because you're going to be getting rid of all of the Serpent's buffs, thus speeding yourself up a bit. You're going to be regening any chip damage. Fear is still going to get inflicted on you, so there is going to be a willpower healing with you as well. And can be doing a decently good job. The one issue would be similar to Werewolf by Night, where at end of the fight you do need to have like things lined up well in order not to eat level 3. But overall I think he's going to be good against Serpent. Not the best, but fine. Clearly going to be a very, very, very good Thanos killer. I think he is going to destroy Thanos, which is fine. But then again, there are quite a few champions who do that. The big problem here is going to be Dark Phoenix. Will he be good against Dark Phoenix? And I think he's going to be decent with that regen, recovering some of the no flame damage. You're getting nullified, but again, he's clearly not like a direct Dark Phoenix counter meant to be. So we're going to have to see how potent that regen is. Overall, I do think he's going to be, at the very least, good addition to the game. How good or how great will entirely obviously depend on his damage numbers. One thing that I did want to mention here before I end is, again, I do like his design, because you have one goal in the fight, effectively turn your Degen dire. You have several ways how to do it, and that's it. And then you kind of do your own thing. Choose, you know, how many light intercepts you do or how much invisibility you use. You don't have to use that invisibility, for instance, in order to unlock your damage. You can just light intercept, or you can just heavy, and so on and so forth. So I like the freedom in that. I like that it's not, again, three level 1s, then a level 2, then a level 3, and 2 heavies, and an intercept, and, you know, dance on one leg under a full moon in order to get the full damage output. So I like that, for sure I do. Hope his damage holds out. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you guys soon. Bye-bye. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the next